Speaking of cryptocurrencies, what do you think about Bitcoin and future of cryptocurrencies?
It's that's a super broad question. I mean, obviously, I think cryptocurrencies are sort of the greatest invention of the web since probably the mobile era. And when we look back on the internet, 100 years from now, historians are writing about it. I'm not sure they'll be able to write about the internet as inseparable from cryptocurrencies. I do think they're very fundamental. I refer you to my 2017 tweet storm that said that what did it say? It said Bitcoin will no blockchains will replace networks with markets, and that's where I kind of lay out how fundamental they are. As for Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin is the OG. It's the ultimate store of value. I don't want to take anything away from it. It'll trigger all the maxis, of course, but the value in a cryptocurrency derives from its decentralization. The more decentralized it is, the more value it has, and in that sense, Bitcoin is the most decentralized. It is the most resilient to attacks by big actors, by nation states. You can think of Bitcoin as having a $1.5 trillion bounty on it. Like if someone can crack it, that's the maximum potential bounty for breaking Bitcoin. Reality is probably about a few $100 billion, but that's still a very big bounty. So I do think it's very resilient. I think it's very powerful. It's quite a huge meme. That said, I do think that there are other things that have value. Like Ethereum is creating a global programmable computer for smart contracts and decentralized finance, which is really interesting. The whole NFT craze is really interesting because it's basically saying, hey, there are millions of objects that we might use to store value instead of just one. And that's kind of its own form of decentralization. That said, the whole crypto space is full of scams, and it's basically what unregulated venture capital looks like. If you ever want to know what unregulated venture capital looks like, that's crypto for you. It's a 24/7, 365 global casino where everybody can participate, and so it ends up with all kinds of fraud. And I'm not in the business of telling people what's real and what's not because I get it wrong too. There's all kinds of cryptocurrencies that I bet on where I lost a lot of money. There's all kinds of stuff that I sold way too early. I've embarrassingly not done as well as I should have in crypto, given everything I've talked about in the past. But it's a very difficult space to play in. So I don't second guess people and I don't say what's going to work and what's not. That's up to you to do your homework. But I would say, look for very smart, high quality, ethical, technological teams with good pedigrees that are not like, hogging all of the Genesis block for themselves, are trying to spread it somewhat fairly, have built like novel, new technological breakthroughs or made good trade-offs in the parameters of setting the protocol, aren't just memeing and spamming you on Twitter. Basically, if someone's pushing you to buy it, it's probably a bad sign. They should be doing something interesting. Like Bitcoin already does store a value really well, and is the digital gold of our generation. Ethereum kind of already does the programmable thing pretty well, although it definitely has scalability issues. So you kind of have to make sure that what you're buying into is not just a meme because someone posted a picture of a dog and is spamming everyone on Twitter with it, but that it actually has resilience and value in a real context. But I don't know what's going to work and what's not. So just like everybody else, I'm sort of blindly feeling my way through the dark and investing in a bunch of things and trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not. Um, but I do think that crypto is the most interesting thing going on in tech today. It is the kind of the frontier. That said, the cops are here. The regulators are showing up, and we may have a showdown with the so-called final boss sooner than we had expected. So I think it's a very high risk, high reward situation. Crypto, along with other asset classes, also just got accelerated because of the huge amount of money printing that the Western governments, and particularly the U.S., have gone through. And the U.S. printed, I think, something like 40% of all dollars in circulation were printed in the last year, and that's going to have a huge inflationary effect. It already has. You can see asset prices floating up. Real estate has gone crazy. Stocks have gone way above where they probably would have been otherwise, given the COVID supply shock. And crypto has obviously done extremely well, but a lot of that is just flight from the dollar. That's just the dollar doing poorly more than anything else. So we've got kind of this tailwind behind crypto. That's that the government's not going to take it lying down. They don't want you to run off. When they print money, they don't want you to have a safe haven from the money because it sort of defeats the purpose of their printing the money. So I think we're going to see an empire strikes back kind of situation.